Dak Prescott. The human interception machine that exists. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Dak Prescott as he is under a ton of pressure to succeed for the Dallas Cowboys this season. With the NFC being wide open, there is a potential chance that this is finally the year the Cowboys get over the hump. However, those chances are going to be dependent on Dak Prescott, as he will be the ultimate X factor as to how the Cowboys will do this season. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Will Dak Prescott finally rise to the occasion? And the answer to that question is no. He will not finally rise to the occasion. Dak Prescott will do what he always does, which is fold in the playoffs. I understand that Dak Prescott has always put up good statistics, but Dak Prescott has never won the big games that matter. There's a reason why Dak Prescott cannot get past the NFC divisional round, and no, it's not because he doesn't have a team around him. In fact, Dak Prescott has had talented teams around him. I bet you Tony Romo is probably thinking, man, why couldn't I be given those stacked teams? Tony Romo got to play in horrible conditions for the Dallas Cowboys, where he didn't get the benefit of a great offensive line. He didn't get the benefit of a great running back. He didn't get the benefit of weapons all over the field. And he damn sure didn't have a great defense around him, with the exception of 2014, where Tony Romo was playing borderline MVP football. When you look at Dak Prescott, he has the skill set of a game manager, but Dak Prescott is trying to play like he is a superstar. Dak Prescott has turned into a turnover machine. I remember when Dak Prescott came into the league, he was really good at protecting the football, and he knew how to scramble on third downs and pick up the chains and keep the clock rolling. However, Dak Prescott has become a caricature of himself as he has been struggling to protect the football. Dak Prescott keeps trying to make the big plays, and it's just not there. Some people might be saying, hey, how come you're hating on Dak Prescott? He's making only $40 million a year, and he's still playing productive football, and he's generally a top 10 quarterback. And I'm going to say, yeah, I agree. Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. However, just because you're a top 10 quarterback doesn't mean that you're not excused from showing up. Dak Prescott has to make the big plays happen in the big games. You're getting paid $160 million to play for America's team. This is not the Minnesota Vikings, where you're playing for mediocrity. You're playing for the Dallas Cowboys, where they get more national TV coverage more so than any other team. When you think about the faces of the NFL, you think about the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott has failed to live up to those expectations. And no, it's not because Dak doesn't try hard, it's because he doesn't have the ability to do that. Dak Prescott doesn't have an elite arm, he doesn't have elite accuracy, he doesn't really have anything that stands out. He's just a solid all-around player. And credit to Dak Prescott for being an overachiever. You were drafted in the 4th round and you've turned yourself into an NFL starter. I gotta give Dak Prescott a lot of props for that. In fact, I'll even say that Dak Prescott is 9th on my quarterback list. I think Dak Prescott does put up good statistics. However, just because you put up good stats doesn't excuse you from not showing up in the playoffs. Dak Prescott has got to learn how to win the big games that actually matter. I remember the last 2 seasons where he lost to the San Francisco 49ers, despite the fact that the 49ers had worse quarterback play than Dak Prescott, and it's because of the fact that Dak Prescott didn't show up in those big games. Last year, he handed the game to Brock Purdy because he kept turning over the football, and if he didn't keep turning over the football, they probably would have beaten the San Francisco 49ers at San Francisco. That means the Dallas Cowboys could have made it to the NFC Championship game. Who knows, maybe they make it a fight against the Philadelphia Eagles, considering the fact that Dak Prescott actually came up big time for the Dallas Cowboys when they played against the Philadelphia Eagles earlier in the season. Now look, am I saying that Dak Prescott is worse than Cooper Rush? Absolutely not. Dak Prescott is absolutely better than Cooper Rush. However, you have to ask yourself, do you really think Dak Prescott is $40 million better than Cooper Rush? My answer to that is no. He is not $40 million better than Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush wasn't a better quarterback than Dak Prescott, but what Cooper Rush did really well was manage the game, and Dak Prescott has got to learn how to manage the game. If he can learn how to manage the game, this is a team that a lot of people could be saying, hey, this is going to be a team that's going to be contending for the Super Bowl, because the NFC is really weak. Because outside the Philadelphia Eagles, there's not really a team where you can confidently say they're going to be a good football team. I understand that I picked the Washington Commanders to go to the Super Bowl just last week, and I think they're going to be an absolutely good football team. However, the Washington Commanders are not proven. The Dallas Cowboys have been proven in terms of getting to the playoffs. The problem with Dak Prescott is he doesn't win in the playoffs. There's a reason why Dak Prescott has lost 4 times in the playoffs in 7 years as an NFL starter. One of those years he was hurt, so really 4 and 6. Dak Prescott can get you to the playoffs, but can he win the playoffs? That's the question that we have to ask everybody. It's like the Alex Smith syndrome, where Dak Prescott is good enough to get you to the playoffs, but once he plays playoff football, for whatever reason, he always crumbles under pressure. But the thing with Dak Prescott is he knows how to put up stats. But I could also say Mike McCarthy is his coach. Now, am I saying that Mike McCarthy is an elite football head coach? No, I'm not saying that. But what Mike McCarthy does a good job of is boosting those quarterback stats. Look at what he did with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, where Rodgers was putting up career high numbers. And when I look at Mike McCarthy, I know that this is a guy that's going to call a lot of pass plays. So I also understand Dak Prescott's numbers are also severely boosted up. If Dak Prescott played in a traditional offensive-like setting, Dak Prescott doesn't put up those elite stats. He would look a lot more like average. Now look, Dak Prescott, he puts up better stats than a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. But would you rather have Jimmy Garoppolo or Dak Prescott in big games? Because I don't know about you guys, but I would easily take Jimmy Garoppolo over Dak Prescott in big games. And that's the challenge that Dak Prescott has to overcome. He has to win the big games. He has to show up when it matters most. He has to play big-time football. You're getting paid $160 million over 4 years. You have to perform. You can't be leading the NFL in interceptions of him being a no-show in the playoffs. His 2 playoff wins that he went up against were against Russell Wilson and Tom Brady. And although that sounds good on paper, you have to remember the Seahawks in 2018 was a team that overachieved a lot. They shouldn't have even been in the playoffs to begin with. And then the other playoff win that he had was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had a losing record heading into the playoffs. So really, Dak Prescott has no high-quality playoff wins. Every time Dak Prescott plays a quality opponent, he always melts under pressure. And I'm not saying that Dak Prescott can't play, because he absolutely can, but he needs to step it up and be an elite quarterback. If he can be an elite quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, this is going to be a team that's going to make noise in the NFC. However, I don't believe that Dak Prescott will rise to the occasion. 7 seasons in the league, you basically are what you are, and I think Dak Prescott is done developing as a star. I think we have seen Dak Prescott at his best, where he can be a distributor of the football, but he can't be a guy that can carry a franchise on his own. He's not going to be a guy that can cover up all the deficiencies of a bad coaching staff or a bad football team. Dak Prescott goes as the team goes. Now, the Cowboys have a pretty good roster. They got Michael Parsons. They got Trayvon Diggs on defense. They've got an elite offensive line. They've got CeeDee Lamb. They've got Tony Pollard. They've got Deuce Vaughn, who I think is going to be a sleeper for the Dallas Cowboys this year. But when I look at this Cowboys team, this is not a team that I feel a lot of confidence in terms of getting to the Super Bowl. Where do I think the Dallas Cowboys will ultimately end up? Well, I think they're going to finish with a 9-8 record. They're going to play mediocre football because of the fact that Mike McCarthy is an underachiever. They will win a playoff game, though, so I do have that going on for Dak Prescott, although they will be going up against another weak football team in the playoffs, because the NFC is so trash that there's not really a lot of high-quality opponents in the playoffs. However, they're not going to win the division. They're not even going to be second in the division. They're going to be the 3rd best team in the NFC East. I understand the Cowboys have a lot of talent, but their coaching staff leaves me a lot to be desired, and so that means that they're going to end up losing the NFC divisional round. Who do I think they could lose to in the NFC divisional round? I'm going to go ahead and say the Washington Commanders. I think the Washington Commanders can absolutely beat the Dallas Cowboys in the playoff game. I trust Sam Howell more than I trust Dak Prescott, and I understand that Sam Howell has only had 1 regular season start to his career, but Dak Prescott always folds when it matters most. How many of you guys probably thought that Dak Prescott could probably outperform Brock Purdy in a playoff game? Almost anybody could have thought that, but Dak Prescott couldn't outperform Brock Purdy in a playoff game. And no, it was not because Brock Purdy played elite football. It was because Dak Prescott was trash in the playoffs. And I got Dak Prescott underachieving again, as the Cowboys will end up underachieving and losing the NFC divisional round, and they will not be able to break the curse of not getting to an NFC Championship game since 1995. I think that either Dak Prescott or Mike McCarthy will be gone after the season. I don't think that this is a quarterback-coach duo that can win a championship. And if you're Jerry Jones and time's ticking on his side, then that means that he has to make some win-now moves, and a win-now move may have to be parting ways with Mike McCarthy. And that's going to be a shame, because Mike McCarthy is a decent football head coach. He's a guy that's gotten the Dallas Cowboys to the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years, and if he makes it this year, it's going to be 3 out of the last 4 years. But the Dallas Cowboys haven't been able to succeed in the playoffs. Maybe they need a coach that can get them over the top. And as for Dak Prescott, if they don't part ways with Mike McCarthy, they might have to trade Dak Prescott, because they might have to say, man, we've already invested in this guy for 8 years and he still can't get to an NFC Championship game, especially in that trash conference that is called the NFC. If you can't make it to the championship game now, that means that you're never going to reach there. So they might have to move off of Dak Prescott. So as to answer the question of whether Dak Prescott will finally rise to the occasion or not, no, he's not going to rise to the occasion. I think Dak Prescott will mostly be the same player, where he puts up numbers, but he'll still turn over the football a decent amount of times, and he will underperform in the playoffs again. So that is why Dak Prescott will still continue to crumble under the biggest moments, as the Dallas Cowboys will lose in the NFC divisional round again. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @Dustin Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and @Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.